Welcome back, everybody. I am Marilee Burnett, your astrologer, here with the messages for the week of April 8th, 2024, which of course is the big new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, conjunct with Chiron, and during a Mercury retrograde. So it is an intense eclipse. So I'm going to dive deep and cover all of that for you. Now, if you're new to my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe so that you get notifications every time I produce a new video, which is usually once a week, unless you're also looking for my dailies, where I pull a tarot card and provide a message every day there, and that's typically in the shorts section of my videos. All right, I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but do check out the article. I'll put the links below on the new moon solar eclipse so you can get even more details for your sign. Of course, I'll cover them briefly here today. And the article really gives you more nuances than I may cover today, so be sure and read that. You can also look at the April horoscope overall, because this week and the next will probably be the most intense weeks of the entire year. And I have lots to talk about. So let's jump right in and start us off, because Monday is the new moon. So that's the chart I have pulled up in front of you. This is from the Astro Gold, if you're interested in which software program I use. So we're talking about the new moon. And if you're new to astrology, a new moon happens when the sun and the moon come together in the same sign, and that happens every month. It's a time for typically setting new intentions, but because of the way this energy is working out, if you're going to set new intentions, you need to make sure that the only intentions that you're truly setting are to remove blocks, to eclipse out whatever you need to let go of and release in order for the new beginning to show up for you. This isn't a good manifesting time frame. It's not good for vision boards. This is good for recognizing and understanding your pain so that you can heal. So let's talk about that. The sign of Aries, it rules the self. It rules your image, how you present yourself to others, how other people see you. It's about your independent self. And the Aries sign is a fire sign, so there's a lot of passion. The ruler of Aries is Mars, who is a warrior. So we have to be a warrior for ourselves. We have to be fighting for ourselves right now. And it has been since March 17th, Mercury went pre-shadow, talked to the North Node. It's talked to Chiron. It's been moving through this area and giving us a preview of what potentially our eclipse work was going to be about. You may or may not have been aware of it. You may want to go back and review your calendars, your appointments, your conversations, because there are clues there, even if they are subtle. So we move forward with a new beginning about ourselves. But in order to have that new beginning, because of this exact conjunction to Chiron, there's something about healing. There may be something about pain that we have to be dealing with. There may be pain that we need to release. There may be things in our life that are causing us pain that the eclipse is going to help to remove. Chiron is a mythical character. Chiron was a centaur, half man, half horse. His father tricked his mother and disguised himself as a horse in order to be with her. So there is a lot of symbology about Chiron. You know, half man, half horse, not accepted for who he was, rejected by his parents. A stranger, right? Unique and interesting would be another way to identify the energy of Chiron. So Chiron became immortal because his father was a god, and he was a trainer of the gods. So there is an ability to interact with a healer, a mentor, somebody who would help to train you. And the other thing in the story of Chiron was he was accidentally injured. That's why I've been talking about accidents a lot, about this eclipse energy, because of that piece of the story with Chiron. And the pain that that injury caused him was debilitating, but he was immortal. And so the suffering never ended. But the story of Chiron is how he made a big sacrifice to help someone else heal. And as a result of that, he was able to heal himself. And so that becomes the story of Chiron. We have our Chiron return around the age of 50. And at that time, our wounds are shown to us in such a way that we have to heal them. Otherwise, they are debilitating and they continue to weigh us down. And then it's what we learn from that healing journey that we share with other people that continues to help us heal as well. And so that's the theme, right? A new beginning for yourself where you can identify your pain, identify your wounds, and heal them. And maybe you're farther along your healing journey. Then this provides you with the opportunity to help others heal. So those of us that are spiritual workers and healers like myself may see new opportunities open up. And of course, the eclipse will help move out of the way anything that's blocking your healing. But there's a lot to go with this, right? Eclipses have everything to do with fate and destiny because of the fact that they happen near the nodes. So the North Node, this is where we're headed. This is the path that we're meant to be on, this path where we choose ourselves. So for my clients that I've been working with in coaching, we have been focusing on making choices that are about ourselves, holding really good boundaries, and restoring balance in the relationships in your life, because it's the South Node that opposes the North Node, that opposes this eclipse. And the South Node is what we're letting go of and what we're moving away from. The South Node in Libra has everything to do with the dissolution of marriages. We've been seeing that very consistently. Just recently, we had yet another big Hollywood marriage announce that they were going to end their relationship. And in fact, they have been doing so in secret, eclipse, since March, Mercury retrograde. So everything happens in its own time and as it's supposed to. And then the eclipse makes that transparent to us. It's a reset moment, right? So that we can continue on the path that we're meant to be on. And sometimes relationships just need to end. They've served their purpose. We've outgrown each other and we need to move forward, move onward. And don't try to hang on to something that is trying to be moving on from you, because you can hold somebody else back from their path and their happiness by trying to get in the way. So the eclipse needs to do its work. So other things, right? South Node, lessons we've already learned, relationships we've already been a part of, relationships from our past life that can show up with, karmic lessons. There's karma with the South Node as well. Karma doesn't have to be bad, right? When we do good things, we build good karma. So there is something about our karmic story in the relationships, and it could be something to do with the law, something to do with justice, because of the fact that it's Libra, Lady Justice, the scales of justice. It's no surprise that we have a lot of conflict versus me and my goals and my needs and the needs of other people, other countries, what the leader wants, what the people of the country wants. They aren't always the same. So it creates conflict and tension. And out of that tension is a moment where in the complete darkness of the eclipse, all is shown that needs to be seen. And then the light returns, right? So we have a big moment. It can be an explosive moment. Because of Mercury being retrograde, we should be taking things very slowly. We should not be taking any big risks. We should not be trying to make any big new starts because it will not go as expected. And if you're in the middle of something new, but it's based on something you've been working on in the past, just take it slow. Make sure you see every detail and understand every bit about the commitment that you're getting yourself into. Doesn't mean everything won't work out. For those that are following their path and doors are opening for them, step through them. But if you're trying to force a door open right now, I strongly discourage that behavior. Now, people will feel the eclipse more personally, right? First house person. If you have things in your chart around these 19 degrees, because that's the exact degree, of course, of the eclipse. Now, you may be somewhere in the 15 to this 24 range, right, with the North Node and with Mercury. And same too, you will feel an impact. The ones that will feel it most intensely, though, of course, are the ones that have energy exactly at the same degree. And of course, Aries and Libra are going to feel it most intensely because that's where the pressure is between the North Node and the South Node. And then, of course, wherever you have this connection, depending on your chart, and if it's harmonious connection or a difficult one like a square or like this opposition with this Libra energy, that means that work is different for you, right? A square is a change is necessary. A change in direction specifically is necessary. Oppositions bring us into balance because of the pressure that we're feeling. And then we have the sextiles and the trines, really positive, supportive effort and energy that's a part of the eclipse that's helping us on our journey. So of course, to know for sure, you need to know your chart, and you can make one for free so that you can at least get the basics. Or I will have a few slots next week where I can squeeze some people in and we can look at what's going on, because it's not like this is only happening on Monday and we're done. This is the next 2 weeks between the new moon and then as we get to the full moon in Scorpio, which will also be very intense, transformative energy. So we're just beginning this work. May 7th, we'll finally have a new moon in Taurus, and things will start to feel lighter. And as we get further into May, even better. So be ready to do some work on your individual self. Choose yourself, and you will be aligning with the energy in order to better take advantage of it. So when we look at the chart, we are seeing, right, there not anything else really going on specifically with the planets engaged with this new moon. We've talked about the South Node. I've been talking to you guys about Mercury retrograde, and if you want to go watch last week's Astrolesson, I talk more about Mercury retrograde and the house that this is happening in, which for most of you, it may be happening in the same house, but in the Placidus system, it's very easily possible that you have the Mercury retrograde in one house and the eclipse in another. So it is really important that you understand the work that you're doing during this time. The other two things stand out as we look at this chart. This energy here in the sign of Pisces is Mars, the ruler. And where the ruler is and what is happening with the ruler has more details for us. What's the story? And this is what's holding us back. This is what's pushing us to be more responsible and to slow down, to trust spirit, to have faith. It's this energy of Mars and Saturn coming together. Now, if you work with me or if you follow me, I usually describe this Martian energy with Saturn restriction, right? So Mars, the warrior, the champion, the fighter, flamethrower, right? There's a lot of heat when you're working with Mars, and Mars just wants to take off and do it at once. In Pisces, Mars is boiling the ocean, right? There can be war events in the water, underneath the surface, that will be exposed as a result of this eclipse. Now, Saturn wants to restrict Mars. It wants Mars to slow down, be more responsible, have a plan. Don't just go out in the field and start fighting everybody. Go out with a plan of attack and you will be more successful. And you have to be responsible. So I like to think of this like being able to drive a stick shift, right? So Saturn is the clutch. You have to give it just the right amount of clutch and gas, Mars, so that you can move forward. If you try to go too fast, you're going to choke the car and it'll die, right? And then you're stuck and you can't move, or you're jerking forward slowly, not making any real progress. So there is this perfect amount of restriction and motivation that you have to apply at the time of this solar eclipse in order to let go of what needs to be let go of. That's what you're doing. That's what Saturn's saying. Hey, you're not moving forward if you're hanging on to this thing that is basically choking the life out of you. You just can't do it anymore. So that's one set of really important energies that we have going on. And then we have this energy of Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which is an earth sign. Uranus shakes things up. I did the cards this week, and the card that I drew the card I drew for the Aries energy was the Tower card. Tower card is Uranus. It is shaking things up at the time of this eclipse. And as Jupiter gets closer, well, Jupiter expands on whatever it touches. So what's it doing? It's shaking up the earth, literally. We are seeing earthquakes. The ground is shaking. And we're seeing ground shaken in many different places. So you're going to see what is the connection that is causing and creating the earthquakes. You know, Jupiter makes things bigger and expands on them so that you understand the lessons, right? Jupiter is a gentle teacher, but when we aren't paying attention, then Jupiter blows things up in a ridiculous way that forces us to learn and grow. And Uranus is very excitable, right? And it is a lightning bolt, and it is electricity. It's also very inventive and creative and freedom seeking. So let's say you're somebody who's trying to escape responsibility. Well, Jupiter's going to come in and show you how ridiculous you are being trying to escape responsibility instead of just accepting your role and being held accountable for it, right? Just one of the many examples of what we will be seeing. And then that Martian energy, right? There's so much war and violence that is going on right now, and so many conflicts and so many hot heads that we may see that escalate at this time. So again, you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. Aries is an individual warrior and fighter, and there will be some people who are not comfortable with the amount of passion that's running through their veins, right? So be just cautious. Stay aware of your surroundings. Don't be in places that you shouldn't be at the wrong time, right? It's just common sense. But you have to maybe disconnect and unplug from your phone so that you are as aware as you should be anytime you're out in public during the eclipse. Now, I personally don't think it's an eclipse that is worth viewing unless you happen to have this eclipse making a really positive aspect in your chart, unless you really want to like face your pain and need that stimulus. But trust your gut on this one. It just isn't one that I would be standing out under, because you're going to be forced to deal with your pain if you're within the energy of the eclipse. And for some of you, that's okay. And for others, you're not going to like the results that you see over the next 2 weeks because you can't avoid the healing anymore. It'll be time to show up and do the work. All right. So that is all of the big energy, and you're seeing it's all very clustered together. We even have Venus in Aries. So again, you've got to learn to love yourself. That's the energy of Venus in Aries. And Venus doesn't necessarily love the Aries energy, but she loves Mars. So There is something about loving the self that is coming up in many, many big ways that we have to show up and engage and do the work. So, where might that work be for you? Aries, this is of course happening in your first house. So this is eclipsing things out that keep you from being truly who you are, allowing people to see you for who you are. If you're Aries, people should know you're a little bit of a hothead, right? You're very passionate, you're very determined. And if you're not appearing that way, now's the time to show up, do the work, and release those things, those relationships that are not allowing you to be the strong warrior that you are meant to be. When we look at Taurus, this for you happens in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house rules the subconscious mind. It rules things that are hidden, places where we can get lost or stuck or trapped. It's hospitals, it's prisons. It's also large institutions. Subconscious mind work, if you're going to do that at this time, is good because you would be showing up and wanting to remove blocks to clearly communicating with the subconscious too. And those stories that are on repeat over and over and over that affect your mental health, right? 12th house is our mental health. It also can be a good time to remove blocks to your spirituality, to your psychic intuitive gifts. So it's not that you can't work with the eclipse, but you just have to work with it in the right way. So Taurus, it's time to get rid of those blocks to being who you are. As we move into Gemini, this happens for you in your 11th house. And even the sign of Gemini looks like the 11th house, right? So there's 11 in the sign of Gemini. 11th house is your friends, it's your networking groups, it's your benefactors. And this can remove somebody from a friend group. It could remove a leader, somebody who's been a good mentor, maybe somebody who's not been a good mentor, and you'll be happy to see them move on. And when they do, right, then you can open the door to a new opportunity, a new friend group. You're finding your tribe now. But you have to let go of those friends that are not healthy for you and block you from growing fully into your own. So that's 11th house for you. Cancers, this happens in your 10th house. So this is your career. This is your status. Sometimes this can be your marriage status. This is your reputation. This is the top of your chart, your highest achievement, what you're most known for. So if you're feeling blocked in the area of success, especially in your career, then you could see things move, people move on, be replaced that are blocking you from achieving what you are supposed to be achieving as far as your career goes. And a career with Aries energy means you're an entrepreneur. You should be your own boss. And if not your own boss, you should be in a pretty significant leadership role. And you need a lot of independence, whatever work you do. So if there is something that is getting in the way of your confidence, use this eclipse to get rid of it. As we move on to Leo, you are a fellow fire sign, right? So you are one, especially if planets around the 19 degrees, that has a positive aspect. So the thing about a trine is you have to apply yourself in order to see the success. Now, this does happen in your 9th house of growth and expansion, foreign people, foreign places. You could see somebody in a foreign place that is removed, that is blocking you from experiencing the growth opportunities that you are meant to be experiencing. Moving on to Virgo, this happens in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is all about transformation, right? This is the Scorpio energy, death, transformation, the occult, astrology, all the things that have to do with a really intense experience. This rules the money that we receive from other people. This also rules our intimate relationships and partnerships. So this could be a time where you are focusing on removing whatever blocks that you have to intimacy so that you open the door to have an amazing, intense experience in your relationships. And removing that block may actually open the door so you can have a new relationship. All right. Libras, this for you happens in your 7th house, which is the house that your energy rules over, just like Aries is the 1st house. So this tension for you with the North Node and the South Node traveling through these two signs that oppose one another is all about restoring balance in your relationships, holding good boundaries, not being taken advantage of, having good balance. And again, you've got to be letting go. All this work with the South Node in your sign since last July has been about restoring balance in your life, having healthy relationships where you have good boundaries. And you can't be in a relationship with somebody that you don't choose to spend time with. And they have to be as equally as important as everybody else in your life. You can't put your children above your partner. You can't put your family above your partner. This is the time where you realize how you have to be on equal footing as far as your relationships go. And again, because you have a new beginning in your 7th house, which rules marriage, maybe whatever is blocking you from taking the next step, the eclipse will remove. And again, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, the eclipse would potentially end that relationship. So a new, better, healthier one can come in for you. Scorpios, this happens in your 6th house. Now, the 6th house rules health. It rules our day-to-day activities. It rules being of service. It rules the work that you do. And in this area, it's same thing. If you aren't fully experiencing the power that you should be in the work that you are doing, if you're struggling here, if you're hiding out, if you're being too sensitive and so you're not willing to put yourself out there, then the eclipse is going to remove whatever's blocking you from having the success you should. Now, like that Cancer energy, again, another water sign, and in kind of a career sector, you too need to have a lot of independence and a lot of authority in the work you do. And if this is your health, you again have to take charge of your health and do the healing work at this time. And the eclipse can show you how to do that and maybe what you need to see, something that may be keeping you unhealthy. And once you heal it, you're restored. So that's beautiful energy. Sagittarius, this happens for you in your 5th house. So the 5th house is things that rule your heart. And that can be your children. It can be your hobbies. It can be your romantic partners. And the blocks that you need to remove are those that block you from fully sharing your heart with other people and fully pursuing your passion, because you are the other fire sign. So again, your energy is in trine to Aries. And that means that you have a big opportunity coming your way, but you have to take it and you have to apply it. And so if you have this opportunity to pursue your passion and you think, oh my God, there's no way, that's never going to work out, you got to let that go. And you got to be willing to go after what it is you're truly passionate about. And if you're in a romantic situation where you just feel stuck or blocked, then again, sign up with this energy to remove the blocks that are getting in the way from you guys being able to share your heart with one another easily. Okay. Then we have Capricorn. So Capricorns, this is happening for you in your 4th house. That's home, that's family. It can be your physical body, it's your ancestors. This is the bottom of your chart. It's where you have to have really strong foundation to leap up off of, right? In order to go forward, we have to have good solid ground to move forward from. So whatever is weak in your foundation, this eclipse was going to be removing it. If you don't have a supportive family, if you're living in the wrong location, the eclipse can come in and suddenly send you somewhere else unexpectedly. It can remove blocks that are making it difficult for you to get along with your family, for instance. So again, setting your intentions. What is it at home? What is it within my physical body? What are the blocks that have been coming down from generation to generation to generation that I finally need to release and heal? And know that when you heal yourself, the whole line heals. Once you shift your energy, the whole line above and below you heals. So you have some really big, important work. And this is energy that is in a square. So you have to make a change in direction at this time. Then we have Aquarius. Aquarius, you're an air sign. This happens in your third house, which is about communication, air, transportation, and there is a way of thinking maybe that is keeping you stuck. And with this eclipse energy, you can remove those blocks that helps change your thinking. You may find that you suddenly have a very strong and powerful voice because your energy is in harmony with this Aries energy. Makes a sextile. It's subtle. But that subtle change in the way you speak to other people may make them stand up and pay attention. So this is things that are part of your local community. It could be extended family members, cousins. So someone that blocks you from being able to speak your mind, for instance, could somehow be eclipsed out of the way so that you're free to speak up. And last but not least, Pisces. This happens in your second house. This is about the money you make. It's your self-worth. It can be your things that you value, valuables, not your values like your ninth house, but actually the valuables. And so whatever money you want to make, you have to make sure that you remove blocks to your worthiness. This is all about how you feel about yourself. I am enough. That is your mantra with this. And then if you're looking for a job, the eclipse can help you, right? Remove blocks to worthiness so that the right job shows up for you. All right. So that's Monday. That's a brief rundown for each and every sign. And we still have more to do this week. So we are going to move on, and I'm going to change this to our Tuesday. So let me update that. All right. And there are no changes on Tuesday, so I'm not going to spend time here. I am going to move us forward to Wednesday. What you'll find on Wednesday is that energy between Saturn and Mars is now exact. So whatever you were seeing, whatever was holding you back or starting to pull the reins in at the time on Wednesday when these two meet up exactly, then that feeling should escalate and be even more intense. And you may see on this day in particular, somebody's karma is coming up, maybe a leader that is in some kind of a fight that will suddenly be imprisoned or restricted in some way, because there's this really interesting inconjunct energy, which is odd and doesn't connect directly, but there is something about justice and karma in the past that has everything to do with this Saturn and Mars energy coming together. So there will be something collectively on Wednesday that may make us all go, oh, wow. And then in our own life, again, wherever you have the Pisces energy and the South Node where it's been transiting, there may be a strange connection that's made on this day, and you just need to know not to go too quickly, whether it's a relationship or a job opportunity or a family event, whatever shows up for you, fully let it unfold and don't overreact to whatever shows up. Respond, but not in a way where you're triggered, because Saturn says, I want you to stand down and I want you to respond appropriately. So I expect Wednesday to be a very, very interesting day. Also on Wednesday, expect it to be a very emotional day because we have the moon in the sign of Taurus. Now, the moon loves being in Taurus. This is like comfort food, comfort clothes. It's just ooey gooey energy, but it's a little crazy making because of the fact that that Uranus energy is activated and the Jupiter energy. So it's a lot. We can be overindulgent. There can be too much comfort food on this day. So keep that in mind. Whatever this weird situation is that shows up, don't let it make you go eat a giant bag of chips to cope, because you'll just end up regretting it. But it is a really good day to indulge the senses, to do things that are unexpected, like hypnotherapy, to go get some kind of deep tissue massage. Maybe you're thinking about acupuncture, right? It's the time for doing some unusual things that will help you heal. So that is the energy on Wednesday. You also might get intuitive downloads about what this exact connection that will happen around April 17th. What surprise, what big growth opportunity are you going to experience as a result of the two of these coming together for you? All right, let's take a look at Thursday. So on Thursday, we will have Mercury Cazimi in its retrograde. So at the number 22 or 22 degrees, this is a master builder number. There is something really eye-opening. This is an aha moment, right? When the sun shines a light on your mind, on your communication, on transportation. This again is a day where, from a travel perspective, be careful, be cautious. Mercury's retrograde is going backwards. It's slowing way down, and then it's like a spotlight in your face, and you can't see where you're going. So just be careful. Now, some people love having highlighted the mind, right? Highlighted communication, but this is a shining a light on a communication that's happened in the past, right? Information that came up in the past. So this will be a very interesting Cazimi energy that we want to be prepared for. And of course, Chiron will be nearby, and Mercury will be heading closer to Chiron. So this is that chance where we get to see more of what the eclipse was trying to show us. And as Mercury moves closer to the actual eclipse point where Chiron still sits, we have even more to learn. So like I said, the eclipse is just kicking us off. We still have a lot of things to experience in the week ahead. And this quincunx energy, this inconjunct between the South Node, Mars, and Saturn just gets stronger on Thursday as well. So again, just a really intriguing, interesting week ahead. And you just want to be paying attention to where all of this is showing up in your chart, because you have things to learn. Okay, that's the last of the big connections. But what we'll see as this week progresses is this Jupiter and Uranus energy continue to gain momentum as they get closer and closer together. So I would expect, again, more things that are shocking. There could be shocking things involving money and finances. Now, it doesn't all have to be negative, right? But it will surprise you either way, because that's what this energy is about. So Jupiter's been, moving forward now, and it's going to move all the way forward through the rest of this Taurus energy, and then it's going to move into the sign of Gemini in May. So things are going to start moving really swiftly in this area of your life and your chart. And as these two come together, that's the spark. That's what starts whatever this is for you. This is the fuse being lit. And this is the work that you need to do, what you need to break free of, what you need to be more inventive with, more creative. So it will be a very interesting event. So more to come as we talk through that. So that's really where we're at, though, from Friday to Saturday, where we start to see Jupiter officially getting into the 20 degrees. So now we're only 1 degree away. So we continue to have intensity there. And then as we finish the week on Sunday, the moon's being very active. The moon is in its home sign. And here is where the moon is having a conversation, a difficult conversation with the nodes. So as the moon talks to the nodes, right, your fate and destiny, and it is calling to you, right? What did the eclipse show you? What changes are you supposed to be making? And this need to care and nurture yourself or other people is a very big part of this. So this, again, on Sunday should be a pretty important day. As the moon is in its home sign, of course, it's strong, and it also speaks in harmony with Saturn and Mars. So a big emotional day, and we can use our emotions and our intuition to make some necessary changes. So this is a turning point on Sunday. It's a big week. And then next week, still. Next week, we'll end up starting off with Mercury conjunct Chiron, and these guys are going to activate the eclipse point again. We still have these 2 more activations. On April 25th is when Mercury is going to end its retrograde and then start moving forward again. And that final moment when it's moving forward is when we get to see the whole picture of the eclipse work. So there are things that are still going to unfold all the way into May that we started back in mid-March. So it's pretty exciting work ahead. All right. I'm curious. I tell everybody that I work with to be curiously detached about what's showing up and why. It doesn't have to be scary or doom and gloom. But on top of all of this eclipse work and all of these interesting energies, at the same time of the eclipse, we have a comet coming through. And so to me, that says we are in uncharted territory. We have all kinds of new energy, and fate is coming in and adding even more energy in the way of this comet. You know, it's potentially visible to some of us during the eclipse. It's very much feels like, you know, an important omen, an important sign of change that is coming through for us. So you can research that more. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert about comets and what they're doing and when they're traveling. But again, that is a pretty intense energy that is coming through. And another sign that swift changes, fated changes, ominous changes are on the way. And we have to show up and do the work on ourselves in order to make the transition easier. All right. Again, links below. Go watch your tarot cards because those were really interesting this week as well. Make sure you watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Maybe go back and watch the Mercury retrograde information. Covered these details again here pretty well, but helps to re-listen to it and get the breakdown of this weekend that we're in as we lead up to the eclipse on Monday. So I'm wishing you well. Let me know how I can help. If you need to book a session and you want to know more, you're already seeing unsettling changes and you want to make sure you understand them, really good at helping you get grounded and accept whatever changes are showing up for you. All right, guys. I can't wait to hear all of your stories. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting. My channel is small but mighty, and I appreciate every one of you that gives me your time each week. And recommends my work to other people. That really is the biggest compliment you can give me, and I certainly appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thank you, and we will be talking next week. Take care.